Hello YouTubers and fellow gamers, my name's DemonPrint and today I'm going to be starting a new YouTube series for newer and amateur 5s LoL teams. Now the goal will be to teach some of the common things that pro teams do in order to win games and perform well in the LCS. Now for some background on who I am, I'm a Platinum 1 solo queue player. I main mid lane, and some of my favorite champions are Yasuo, Ekko, and Fizz. Now, currently, I'm the analyst for AZO Esports LoL team. We most recently took second place at DreamHack Denver. Now, with all of that kind of out of the way, I want to get into the very first topic, and that's going to be about concentrated vision and how to really acquire it. So, starting off, a lot of times what I see teams do around the mid game, it's like 20, 22 minutes. Say the game's even and you're the blue team, right? A lot of times I would see teams kind of ward sporadically and say this location here, and then the bot lane's kind of warding around the enemy team's blue buff and dragon. Now, while it's all, well and done that there's wards here, maybe they'll have a pink and mid lane bush and, defensively in bot lane try. But while if you're still in laning phase, this vision can work for you. The main issue with that is it's not really concentrated around one specific area. And what I mean by this is, the wards are really only seeing what the actual wards see. And while that might seem, very basic and obvious, well, duh, the wards see what they see. Um, it kind of leads into what concentrated vision can do for your team that this, sporadic warding doesn't do. So let's take a look at this setup, for example. Let's say you are the blue team and you're wanting to uh, play around Dragon. Say, top lane's kind of trading, the enemy jungler is somewhere. Like maybe they're in the base. You don't actually know where they are, but your jungler is around Dragon and your, bot lane's moving up towards it. If you have wards around the enemy blue buff and at the sort of like entrance from mid towards their own blue buff here, and then you have some pinks on Dragon and the mid bush and bottom side river. And say, your just support came in and they sweeped this area. Now, all of a sudden, you know pretty much where the enemy jungler is at all times, right? So if the enemy jungler is coming towards the bottom side and he's, padding down towards river, he's bot side. Or if he's heading towards his Gromp, you're gonna know where he is. And what that lets you do is it lets you use, the process of elimination to determine where the enemy jungler is and allow your lanes to play around that respectively. Because if the jungler isn't in any of those ward spots and you don't see him, you can assume a couple things. For one, the jungler is nowhere near this bot half of the map, right? He's either at the enemy team's wolves or in the top half of the map. Now, your mid laner probably also has his own ward right about here in river. And, top lane has his own ward to kind of protect him, maybe just at that top bush. So all of a sudden, you can now eliminate the your team's uh, blue buff part of the jungle and can determine that the enemy jungler is either coming out of base or is in their red side jungle. And that really lets your jungler and all of your laners play around that vision properly and around where the enemy jungler is. All of a sudden, your mid laner can start, hovering around bot side of his lane and trading aggressively, knowing he's not going to get ganked through river. On the flip side, your bot lane can also just kind of be shoving in as much as they want without worrying about that gank coming from the jungle because they will see the enemy jungler no matter what route he takes due to these wards. But that also kind of changes the dynamic of how your top lane's playing. Knowing this information, your top laner should be playing a bit more defensive because he either sees the enemy jungler bot side or he doesn't see him, which means that the jungler is on the top half of the map and he should play, safe, respect the fact that there can be a 2v1 gank coming out top lane. So that's the whole idea of this concentrated vision is it's focusing your wards around a specific area of the map to allow you to create plays in certain areas. Now, the way I have it set up currently is if your team wants to make that play around Dragon, you control the vision, and it's very scary for the enemy team to really sort of enter that area blindly because you've sweeped out the entire Dragon Pit area and presumably this river bush as well. So it's kind of scary for them. And through this vision, you can easily know whether the enemy jungler is in a good position to properly respond. But let's take a look at a different example and a different setup that is more applicable in the early stages of the game. The enemy jungler's in his own jungle, just kind of farming up, and lanes are, trading back and forth, trading waves. One thing you might want to do in order to actually get that vision that I just shown is due to something called mid priority and double movement, which a lot of you might already know about, but I'll just go ahead and kind of walk through what that means. So mid priority is essentially when your mid laner, or really any lane, when they have priority, it just means that the minion wave is shoved in their favor towards the enemy turret, forcing the opposing laner to, clear minions under their tower. What this does is it gives you about a 15 to 20-second window where you will always know where the enemy mid laner is due to the fact that he's going to be clearing wards at his turret. This lets your mid laner and jungler to move as a team, which is called double movement. They're moving as two, into the enemy's jungler and allow them to place wards safely to provide their vision to, start making more and more plays. So, they can walk together, place a ward in this sort of corridor here, maybe get one on enemy wolves, and then blue buff as well, potentially, right? Right around there. That sort of double movement gives a lot of vision. You will always know when the enemy jungler is in the bot side of the map, pretty much. He's either going to be pathing through wolves to clear them and then to the rest of his bot jungle, or he's going to path through this corridor where you have a ward into that bush, that river, and look to a gank mid. In either scenario, you'll see the jungler coming through. You can do the same sort of game plan where you have one lane shove in and then move that lane with your jungler to get vision on pretty much any lane, right? So if you want to do it around bot side, move your jungler towards bot side, have a pink here potentially, make sure he's not being spotted. Allow your bottom lane to shove in the enemy, force them to clear a wave at turret, and then use that 15 to 20-second window to safely move as 3 into the enemy jungler and get a couple wards down, right? And this entire scenario really just allows the option for safe vision as well as your jungler to invade and use that vision effectively to decide where he wants to make plays on. And the key part of this is the fact that the enemy lane is gonna spend those 15 seconds clearing minions. So in the event that, the opposing jungler is, at blue buff while you're stepping in, it's a 3v1. Now, if the enemy bot lane decides to come up and assist, you will see them making that move ahead of time. And while they're doing so, they're sacrificing minions at that turret. they're gonna lose XP and they're gonna lose gold. So you don't even have to be looking to find a fight while moving in as 3. You can simply get those wards down and retreat. If the enemy bot lane responds, they're losing out on XP and gold. If they don't respond, you can take that time to either just, get deeper vision, closer to wolves or something, or actually look for the engage onto the enemy jungler, get a pick off, and then convert that into a dragon. Now I'm gonna run through just a quick example of what this would look like if you are gonna do it top side of the map, right? That way, kind of covers all bases on every single lane. Did the example min, did a bot. Now let's look through top side. It's very similar, Top laner just shoves the opposing top into tower, then moves into the enemy jungle with his jungler, his or her jungler, and get some vision down, right? Place a ward at their red buff, even at their Krugs, and then potentially one at the red buff entrance from river. And once again, you pretty much know where the enemy's gonna be, where the enemy jungler is, majority of the time. He's either inside your vision or he's on the opposite side of the map. Lets you play around that vision properly. And this is something that it's a very key for someone on the team, whether it be the jungler, mid laner, support, whoever, is communicating. Taking the information that you do have and sort of extrapolating that to the rest of your team, saying, hey, we don't see the jungler on the top side of the map through our wards. That means he's going to be bot side. Be careful bot, make sure you're not playing over aggressive and mid lane. Hug the top side of river so you're not going to get ganked from the bot half. Create that distance. Um, and that's where communication is really key to really make the best use of the vision. The last thing I'm going to go through in this video is one of the probably the most common difficulties that teams have, and it's closing out the games and really properly setting up for any sort of Baron play or even Dragon play. But this one, it's going to be specific to Baron. Now, say it's 25, 30 minutes in the game potentially, and your team's ahead. You have a 5k goal lead. A lot of times it can be kind of tough to really crack the enemy's inhib turrets. Say you have both mid towers down, both top towers, and maybe just one bot tower. Have a lot of control on the map. Now, from this position, say the opponent has like a Xerath and a Varus, just a lot of wave clear, it can be hard to break into their base and take inhib. So the best way around that is to play around Baron. And you can do this by moving collectively as a team initially, into the enemy jungle, to place down that concentrated vision. You can place a pink in the very first bush coming in, place a pink behind red buff, and then importantly, place a pink on Baron. And it's also good to sweep outside of Baron just to, ensure no one's on that. Now, once you have that vision placed down, it all comes down to having, once again, mid priority. And this time it allows you not just a 15-second window, but in cases potentially a 30-second window to kind of move hidden and against the enemy team. So basically what you do is you have your team shove mid all the way into the opposing turret, to the opposing enemy's inhib turret mid. And once you have that, you're all mid, pushing the wave ends. Now, what you can do after that is collectively retreat into your vision towards Baron buff. And as you do this, the enemy team's gonna have a couple of options. Depending on who you're playing against, they might not notice anything's wrong and aren't gonna come through your vision to check Baron. And the key part here is to be patient. You cleared minions, mid minions, and those are going to be at the enemies and hip turret, which will give you essentially another ward that lets you know where the enemy team is their mid laner clearing that wave, who all's there, right? And so the first time you do that, you can retreat into your vision, wait for them to try to maybe blind check those bushes to see what's going on. And you can find a pick that way and convert that pick into Baron or that inhib that was previously difficult to break. Or the enemy team just doesn't respond, right? In which case, the first time, if they don't respond, that's fine. Wait for the next minion wave to come, and then you push it back down in and follow the same procedure. Retreat towards Baron, except this time you can make your way to Baron itself and start taking it. If they use a blue trinket on it, clear the blue trinket, back up, and repeat the process over and over again. This can take up to, 4 or 5 minion waves where until you can actually effectively make something happen. But it's the most efficient and safe way, I would say, to take Baron because you're always playing around your vision. You'll see them coming into the jungle in which you can find that pick to possibly end the game or take Baron, or if they aren't responding, you can just take Baron in the blink of an eye. Now, with all that being said, I hope these tips will help you and your team improve together as well as win more games. If you enjoyed the video, please comment, like, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to learn about in the next video. Thank you, and peace out.